Hello, my darlings. I'm Seren Briar, and welcome to BiteNotes, the recap show for the Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle ATL by night. Tonight, we look back at Season 1, Chapters 5 and 6. Now, let's sit back, relax, and recap a vampire story. Chapter 5, Cut the String. The next night, everyone receives a text from their respective primogen telling them to meet at the 5 Points MARTA station. It looks like Dot wants to see them all again. Mel is off covering the New Hampshire primary, but everyone else convenes at the station. Doss once again escorts them down to the Nosferatu Haven, although it's significantly less tense than last time. Dot is waiting for them in the courtyard with Sarah, Tilly, and Proctor, the Tremere primogen. Sarah has a new, more cyberpunk look, and Tilly is furiously braiding Proctor's hair. Dot informs everyone that Sarah is not Sarah any longer. Her name is now Mouse. Dot impresses upon the shepherds the importance of their task. In addition to a total hiring freeze on embracing any new kindred, Prince Talbot has expressly forbidden the siring of any children like Mouse. If it happens, both child and sire can be executed. But Talbot's mind isn't what it used to be, and his rules can be bent. Anyone the shepherds deem worthy and capable of saving, the Atlanta Camarilla must take in, and that supersedes all other laws. Dot reminds everyone that despite the humanity they may cling to, they are all monsters at heart. What matters is using their monstrosities to benefit the world and their city. Cirrus has his own motives for being here, but Dot trusts his needs and interests to align with hers. He has been contracted as the acting sheriff of Atlanta, since the Primogen Council does not trust the one that Prince Talbot appointed. Now that the shepherds have proven that they can be successful, their next assignment will be more difficult. After tonight, they will have a much better idea of what is being asked of them. Their next target is named Catherine. She works at the Center for Puppetry Arts, doing evening presentations, sleepover functions for children, and overnight cleaning. The Primogen expect results before sunrise. The shepherds leave the Nosferatu Haven and park at the Athenaeum, since it's right across the street from the Center for Puppetry Arts. Anton gathers his supplies, including a stake. Cirrus finally gives the coterie his phone number, and he lets Aaron have a gun. The parking lot of the center is dark and empty. Cirrus makes himself both silent and invisible while Anton heightens his senses, and they enter the building through a side door that has been left propped open. Thomasina makes it very clear that she hates puppets, and asks Aaron to cut any tangled marionette strings before she sees them. In the basement of the center, they find one room that might as well be a tiny studio apartment, complete with a Murphy bed and a desk covered in small toys and finger puppets. There's a coffee cup on the desk that says Catherine. Cirrus finds a schedule for the overnight cleaning and sees that tonight she should be cleaning the exhibit glass. The coterie heads upstairs to the exhibits, through Puppets of the World and Sesame Street, until Cirrus finds a woman in the Fraggle Rock room, singing the Cars for Kids jingle to herself as she cleans the glass. She looks straight at him, despite his unseen passage, admonishing that he's not allowed to be here. After a brief discussion, the coterie discovers that Catherine is an oracle of the Sabbat, and is completely unaware that the Sabbat's rule has ended in Atlanta. She has a clear distaste for the Camarilla. A confrontation ensues, during which Catherine turns Thomasina into her own personal puppet. Cirrus shoots a .50 caliber bullet through the building itself, Aaron defaces Big Bird, and Anton's own hatred of the Sabbat overrides his better judgment. Catherine becomes distracted by Kermit the Frog. As an oracle, she gets her prophecies from the puppets, and Kermit has been giving her the same vision for almost 20 years. A huge elephant with gold caps on the ends of its tusks fights with swirling shadows. A ringmaster wearing thick, dark glasses appears and begins fighting both the elephant and the shadows. The ringmaster goes away, and the elephant defeats the shadows. The elephant is then draped in gold and lifts its trunk in celebration. Cirrus has absolutely no interest in Muppet prophecies and shoots Catherine with incendiary shotgun rounds, lighting her on fire. She retaliates by forcing him to shoot himself in the face with the same ammunition. As Catherine forces Thomasina to help extinguish her, Anton pours lighter fluid onto her. Between Aaron's and Cirrus's firearms, they shoot Catherine into torpor, ending her compulsion on Thomasina. Catherine has been judged by Cirrus ibn Muhavara Beni Aftab of the Banu Hakim. He stakes her and begins to drag her out to his truck, but loses control of himself.
My name is Seren ibn Muhavara Beni Aftab, Caliph of the Banu Hakim, and you have been judged. And I'm going to plunge the stake into her heart.
All right.
And I'm going to grab her by the throat, and I am going to drag her out towards my truck.
All right. Are you guys going to do anything when he drags her out?
No. I'm going to watch. I'm going to say, called it, and get up and walk after him.
And if you could very quickly make me a strength check, because
Absolutely.
since she is in torpor, she will be a hefty thing to drag by the neck.
Fair. Straight strength or strength athletics?
Strength athletics.
Okay. All right. Instead of that, what happens is as I go to pick her up, I take a step, I stagger, I reach down, I put my hand through her, I rip her heart out, and I deophorize her as I bestial failure.
Okay.
Ooh.
As I immediately just start to inhale her heart.
I'll just stop short of this.
And so you guys happen to see him proceed to diablerize Catherine. right in front
Nothing.
of
I'm
you.
watching.
Yep. And
I'm
tear into her, ripping her flesh open, and I'm just consuming heart, face, flesh, everything, as far as, and like around her rib cage, like pulling, like ripping a rib bone off and just skinning it on my teeth, and just continue until I trying to get the beast under control.
When his frenzy subsides, Cirrus just continues dragging Catherine's body outside, telling everyone else to clean up. Aaron tries, but there's not much to be done for the blood on the carpet or the massive hole in the wall. Thomasina is visibly shaken by her experience of being controlled, but Anton seems relatively pleased with the events of the night. Cirrus delivers Catherine's body to the Primogen Council, and Thomasina reluctantly reports to a meeting with Tabitha. Anton explains to Aaron that this mission felt like a small taste of the final nights again. He brings Aaron into the Athenaeum and shows him the conspiracy theory board he's been compiling, all centered around Cirrus. Hexadecimal is clearly upset with Anton, and Aaron leaves them alone. Hex tells Anton he should go visit Tilly. He and his coterie need a little fucking perspective. Chapter 6. Everything Burns. Because of everything that happened with Catherine, the shepherds have been granted a few days to think over what was done. Aaron and Thomasina debrief with Denise and Tabitha, respectively. Denise is somber. The events with Catherine reminded her, too, of the final nights, but she isn't going to yell at Aaron. All coteries make mistakes, but all the lost childer must be approached as if they have a chance of salvation. Tabitha shows Thomasina something chilling. Security footage of their entire encounter in the Center for Puppetry Arts. Captured by security cameras that no one checked for. Luckily, Tabitha's cleanup crew was able to handle it that night, but this was a huge oversight on the shepherd's part. Both Aaron and Thomasina are told that they will be going to visit Proctor. Cirrus debriefs with Dot. Under the Convention of Thorns, he didn't do anything wrong, but he is in trouble for how he lost control. If that continues, he'll become a liability, and Dot will not hesitate to take his head off. Unlike the others, Cirrus will not be going to Proctor's. It's in everyone's best interest for him to stay far away from Tilly right now. Melisande, back from New Hampshire, meets with Falcon, who gives her the short version of the encounter with Catherine. Even though she wasn't present for it, Mel will also be going to see Proctor later on. Anton only gets a text from Proctor, his primogen, telling him to meet up with his coterie before they all come over. He gathers everyone at the Athenaeum, where Melisande lets them all know that she is not happy with how they handled the situation. Before they go to Proctor's, Aaron needs to replenish his supply of black market blood bags. With the help of Anton, Thomasina, and a laser pointer, Aaron scams his dealer out of everything he has. Anton, Thomasina, Melisande, and Aaron go to Proctor's house, a farm with horses and chickens. She addresses the whole coterie first, and the total overkill used on Catherine. Anton tries to defend their actions, but Proctor's the most disappointed in him. She brings him to the kitchen for his own telling off, chastising his inability to move past the war and his overuse of magic endangering the Masquerade. A pained, feral scream comes from the basement. Proctor leads the coterie downstairs. Hundreds of black ropes hang from the ceiling, clustered too close to see through. Proctor leads the shepherds through, one at a time, to the source of the screaming.
The scent of roses fill your nose, along with blood. And before you sits Tilly, the Malkavian primogen that you helped find before. Her usual powder blue dress is ripped and torn and bloodied from the ropes that are wrapped around her. Tying her to a heavy old chair that's been bolted to the floor, Thomasina, you cannot see any of the knots. They appear to be wrapped around her. Her face is covered in bloody tears, some stained, some fresh, and she looks exhausted but still so internally violent. And around her are vases of white, fragrant flowers. And Proctor just kind of gestures to him and says, Cherokee roses. Georgia state flower, they're her favorite. It's the only thing keeping her calm right now. And as she speaks, she kind of looks up to Proctor, and tears start to form in the corners of her eyes again. She says, Lizzie, it burns, it hurts. Lizzie, it hurts. And Proctor walks over and starts petting her hair gently, just trying to keep her from starting to scream again. She says, I know, darling, I know. It'll be okay. It's just a little while longer. Fire burns out, right? It'll go away. I promise. And she just leans down and starts to kiss Tilly's forehead, but she starts pulling and thrashing against the roses, or against the ropes.
Proctor explains that Malkavians have the ability to see through one another, experiencing their senses and feelings as one. Tilly was seeing through Catherine as the shepherds confronted her. She shared all of it as Catherine, and she's still suffering from it. That bond was even stronger than usual, since Tilly is Catherine's sire. Tilly yells at Proctor to make them leave, and Proctor hurries the shepherds back upstairs. She makes sure that they now understand that the decisions they make will affect others, and none of their choices should be made lightly. Proctor is uncharacteristically open with them and answers their questions honestly. When everyone leaves, Anton asks for a moment alone with Proctor.
Everyone else heading to the porch?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Blow up as you need to.
I'm sorry.
I know. I have greatly failed the Tremere. Not just you. This is on me too.
We need you,
I know that now.
but that is no excuse for me forgetting the casualties of war.
No, it's not. Of all people, I should have possibly had trust in you to tell you what Catherine was. At the final nights, we lost so many. And when we formed the Primogen Council again, there were barely enough numbers to have one of every clan. Tilly only came with me as my partner, but she was the only Malkavian that showed up. I didn't want this job. I didn't want to be mother hen to a bunch of magic users that didn't know their head from their ass. And I didn't want to have to look at all of you and remember the decimation of our clan. But that's no excuse anymore. And for that, I do apologize to you. I can't promise to be a present or good Primogen, but I will promise to be better than I have been.
On the drive home, Melisande sits silently in the back seat. One of her tenets has been broken. Thank you for tuning in to BiteNotes. Remember, liking, commenting, and subscribing does not violate the Masquerade. You can view full episodes of ATL by Night on our YouTube channel. We stream Tuesdays at twitch.tv/ATL by Night. Remember to support us on Patreon and follow us on Twitter. You can get this shirt as well as others on our TeePublic. Until next time, good night.